Hello everyone, my name is Jordan. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the books that I read in March 2022. So I guess we'll just start off with some stats for the month of March. I read a total of 6 books, 6.5 really. I read half of one book, and I've counted the pages for March, but I'm not gonna wrap up the book in this. I'll mention at the end. I read a total of 2,976 pages, which comes out to an average of 96 pages per day. My average rating was a 4.08. I reread 4 books this month, so the majority of this wrap-up is going to be rereads. My average page length was 450 pages. I read 3 fantasy novels, 1 romance novel, and 2 sci-fi novels. All of the books I read in March were physical books. 5 were YA and 1 was adult. And the rating breakdown is 2 3.5 stars, 1 4-star, and 3 4.5 stars. So I guess we'll just start with the first book I read in March, which is Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. This book follows Chloe Brown, who one day she has this near-death experience which causes her to create this Get a Life list because she feels like she has been letting her chronic pain stop her from doing things she used to enjoy, things she used to do. Instead, she's always playing it safe at home. She isn't going out anymore. She doesn't have many friends anymore, so she plans to get a life. And on that list, she has things like go camping, ride a motorcycle, things of that nature. And one day, she enlists the help of her handyman, Red, to help her complete this list because he has access to a motorcycle. One catch though, they seem to hate each other. So sadly, I didn't enjoy this book as much as I had hoped to. I just didn't really vibe with the characters that much. I felt Chloe was a bit annoying for most of it. Red wasn't anything special to me. I don't think I'm the biggest fan of the grumpy sunshine trope, which is what this is. I read this so long ago and I'm filming this a little bit later than usual, so I honestly cannot remember much of my thoughts on this, just that it was not that good in my opinion. This does have chronic pain rep, as I mentioned, and I can't speak for it myself, but I've heard that it's very good from On Voices reviewers. So I mean, I don't really have much more to say about this, just that it was okay, and I ended up giving it a 3.5 star. Yes, it ended up with a 3.5 star. The next book I read in March was Aurora Rising by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This was my first reread of the month. I've read this one 3 times? I've read this one 3 times now, I believe. And somehow I still forget some of the major plot points every time I've read this. So this follows our group Squad 312. It starts off with our main character Tyler on draft day, but instead of being at his graduation ceremony, he is out in the fold saving this ship wreckage that has been lost for 100 years. And on board that ship is Aurora, another main character. So he misses the draft, comes back to the academy to find out what his squad is, what his fate is, and he has been left with the dregs of the academy in Squad 312. However, that is not his biggest worry, because once they are sent out on their first mission, they are led into these dangerous situations that honestly put the fate of the galaxy in question, and at the center of it is our mysterious girl that was rescued from the wreckage, Aurora herself. I read this one in preparation to read the second and third books. So another book I read in March was Aurora Burning, and I'm sad to say that this one did not live up to my enjoyment of this one. This one I enjoy. I do enjoy their other series better, the Illuminate Files. This book did get me hooked on the characters, and the world was intriguing. It's your classic space chase, space opera. I really enjoyed this one, and the ending of this book really got me intrigued to read Aurora Burning, but sadly this one did not live up to what I expected. A lot of the characters that I enjoyed in the first book I did not care for at all in this one. I was wanting to skim through chapters when it was their turn. They felt very flat to me. I felt like it was the same thing happening over and over again. Like a space chase, they get caught in this drastic situation, somehow they're rescued and they get out of it, and they end up in another captured situation, and then some things happen that only took like a chapter or two that I felt could have been fleshed out a little bit more and a little bit less abruptly. So yeah, sadly I did not enjoy this one as much as I had hoped to. Aurora Rising ended up getting a 4-star from me, and Aurora Burning ended up getting a 3-star, 3.5-star. All of these ratings are based on the call pile rating system, so there is a little bit more to them than just an arbitrary number that comes into my head, but honestly not much more. So don't put my ratings at such a high standard, because they're just what I feel in the moment after finishing the book. This one is a 3.5-star in my opinion. So even though I'm not enjoying the series as much as I had hoped to, I have heard the final book is much better even than the first one, so I'm really intrigued to continue on and to finally finish the series, because the ending of Aurora Burning was very dramatic and cliffhangery, so I am intrigued to finish the series out and see where the fate of our characters lie. So the last 3 books I read in March were rereads, but I did enjoy all of them. So first I reread Throne of Glass and Crown of Midnight in preparation to finally finish this series, because again, as with Aurora Rising, I've read both of these twice, now 3 times. Throne of Glass follows our main character, Selena Sardathian, who has been enslaved in this camp in Dovir, and one day she is taken away from that camp by the Crown Prince of Adarlan. He takes her back to the capital, where he wants her, Adarlan's assassin, to be his champion in this competition the king is holding to find the king's champion, or the king's assassin. And while Selena is at the castle, she discovers this evil that's dwelling within the castle. So she both has to win the competition and to maintain her freedom, and also figure out what's going on with this evil in the castle to maintain her life. I really enjoy both of these books a lot. I know these are people's least favorite in the series, because there's this tone shift, I think. At least there's especially a setting shift in Air of Fire, which is the next book. But I enjoyed these, so I feel like I'm only going to enjoy Air of Fire more. I love Selena Sardathian so much. She's one of my favorite characters. I am just trash for Sarah J. Maas, honestly. Love everything she's written that I've read so far. The only things I haven't read so far from her are the remainder of the Throne of Glass series, the second book in the Crescent City series, and her Catwoman book, which I don't think I'm going to read that one. ACOTAR, Crescent City, these 2, absolutely love them so much, and I cannot wait to finally get to the rest of the Throne of Glass series. And both of these books got 4.5 stars from me. I haven't been mentioning, but I did partake in 2 readathons in March, which were Magical Readathon Aurelium Gear Up Edition. Yes, Gear Up Edition, where we picked our legacy and our conduit. So this one counted for my legacy, or for my conduit prompt, which was a title with 2 or more S's in the title, which was for a spell book. And then my legacy was multiverse, which was sci-fi, and for that one I read Aurora Burning. I also read all 4 of those books I just previously mentioned for the final book support group, which is Steph from Steph Loves Readathon reading group, where we just try to make progress and finish series. So yes. And the final book I read in March was my reread of City of Glass. I'm currently rereading the Mortal Instruments series just for fun. Why not? And I'm up to book 3, City of Glass. If you don't know what the Mortal Instruments series is about, the first book, City of Bones, follows Clary, who is living in mundane New York. One night she goes to this club, Pandemonium, and witnesses these 3 people she soon finds out are Shadowhunters killing a demon, when she did not know any of that existed. This kickstarts her into this world of Shadowhunters and demons and fae and angels and all kinds of things. She returns to her apartment to discover that her mother has been kidnapped. So she goes to the New York Institute. Her friends Jace and Isabel and Alec, they all help her as she tries to discover what her connection is to this world, what this world is, and why they want her mother. I enjoyed my reread of this. I think this is one of my favorites in the Mortal Instrument series. I like being in Alicante, and I love the reveals that are finally in this book. You wait a long time for them to finally appear, and the payout is worth it. This book reads like a conclusion, because the first 3 books in the Mortal Instrument series was going to be a trilogy, but then she expanded it to the 6 books, so it's a very satisfying conclusion to the first arc. I really enjoyed these characters. There's not much else I can say about this, as I've been reading one of these a month for the past few months and my thoughts are basically the same. I enjoy seeing these characters again. The Mortal Instrument series isn't my favorite in the Shadowhunter world, but I'm enjoying being back with these characters and these plots that are just very nostalgic to me, as I read these back in high school, very early high school for the first time. They're definitely not for everyone. I don't know that I would recommend it to you to read for the first time now, because a major part of my enjoyment is that nostalgia factor. But I'm going to be continuing my rereads in April. So there we have it, everyone. Those are the 6 books that I read in March 2022. And just to quickly mention, I think I gave this one a 4.5 stars. So my reading month was okay. It was mainly rereads. So books I enjoyed enough that I wanted to reread. I was going to enjoy them again, most likely. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, there was one more book that I started in March, which was The Call of the Bone Ships, the second book in the Bone Ships, the Telltale trilogy, which I started reading for Cass from Covers with Cass Backlist Book Club. Again, I will mention my thoughts on that in April because I finished it in April, but I just wanted to mention it because I did start it, and my pages that I read at the very end, I am counting towards my March pages because I read them in March. I hope my April reading goes as well, if not better, and I read more new books in April. So yeah, if you've read any of these, let me know what you thought, and I will see you with another video soon. Bye!